NBA Media Day and training camp is officially upon us, marking the end of the offseason and the beginning of yet another exciting year in the NBA world. We're going to hear a lot of questions get asked of these players at their respective media days, and some of their answers may plant some seeds for what is to come, and by that, I mean there are definitely some situations that will result in change at some point this season. There are some big names still about to be traded this year, and Bleacher Report addressed exactly that in one of their recent articles, where they proposed a bunch of blockbuster trade ideas that they believe will be explored this season. As always, we'll be going through some of the biggest ones, analyzing whether or not the trades are viable, who would benefit the most from them, why or why not the teams involved would want to go through with it, and whether or not I believe they should actually happen at all. Before we start though, it turns out a good amount of you watching right now aren't even subscribed to the channel, so if you enjoy the content, consider hitting the subscribe button, as not only does it help out a ton, but I'd also very much appreciate it. Now with that being said, let's begin. The first trade from the article we'll be taking a look at is between the Philadelphia 76ers and the Utah Jazz, where the 76ers receive Lauri Markkanen in exchange for Paul George, a first-round pick, and 2 second-round picks. Lauri Markkanen has been in trade rumors ever since he broke out in his first year with the Jazz as a legit all-star caliber player. Utah has insisted on holding firm through those rumors, trying to build around Markkanen, but Lauri is now going into his 4th year with the team, and the Jazz have only gotten worse. They're further away from contending for a playoff spot than they've ever been, coming off of a last-place finish in the West, with another one seeming to be on the way this year, and with Markkanen being 28 years old, he's in the prime of his career and just doesn't fit the timeline that the Jazz are on. It's not crazy at all to think that he'll want to explore greener pastures elsewhere and try to find a place that he can actually play meaningful basketball, and in that regard, Philadelphia is a pretty picture-perfect fit for him. For one, the power forward position is easily the Sixers' biggest need right now, so Markkanen can slot right in without having to step on any toes or force a clunky fit. To be completely honest, this is a deal where if it was presented to the 76ers as a potential opportunity, they would start filing the paperwork to indicate they accepted the trade before the Jazz could even finish saying the offer, because not only would they be adding an all-star at their weakest position, but they would be doing so by ridding themselves of the horrid Supermax contract that they paid to Paul George that already looks pretty disastrous, with his production falling off a cliff last year and all of the injuries that he is now suffering. That leads us to the obvious hesitancy for Utah to go through with something like this though. The one thing I could see them buying into is the idea of having one of the league's great wing players of the last decade in the locker room to help mentor their young players, because right now, the Jazz just don't have many veterans on their roster at all, and with them clearly not focused on winning right now, they would be able to take George in as a contract dump without sweating it all that much. But at the same time, I'm very certain that they would still be expecting more of a return than what is being proposed here if they were to trade away Lauri Markkanen. Just one single first-round pick added in by Philadelphia is hardly a worthwhile sweetener, even if it is the Clippers pick in 2028 that could prove to hold a lot of value if the Clippers blow things up in the near future. It's not the worst proposal in the world, but it clearly favors Philadelphia, and I don't see Danny Ainge saying yes to this. The next proposal from the article is between the Detroit Pistons and the Phoenix Suns, where the Pistons receive Devin Booker in exchange for Ron Holland, Jaden Ivey, Tobias Harris, and 3 first-round picks. This trade, however, really intrigues me because it's something that I can actually see becoming reality despite the fact that it's a big blockbuster deal between two sides that haven't really been linked in any rumors. The Pistons got their first taste of playoff basketball last season and nearly upset the juggernaut Knicks in the first round, but ultimately their inexperience cost them down the stretch of a few games in that series, and now they're looking to take the lessons that they learned there and use them to improve. Getting Jaden Ivey back healthy this year will be a big boost for the Pistons, but after a fairly sideways offseason overall, it's fair to question if they have enough to actually take that next step, which then leads us to the idea of star hunting, and Devin Booker could not be more of a perfect target for them. It reminds me of that one scene in Family Guy where Peter is like, sure, a boat is a boat, but the mystery box could be anything. It could even be a boat. Why should Detroit sit back and hope that Jaden Ivey can become anywhere close to as good as Devin Booker when they can just go out and get Booker himself, who is a proven commodity as someone who has been one of the best shooting guards in the NBA for years? Booker may not have requested a trade when the Suns were imploding this summer, but there really is no reason for him to stick through yet another Phoenix rebuild in the prime of his career, and for Phoenix themselves, they would love the opportunity to add even more promising young talent like Ron Holland and Jaden Ivey to steer their new rebuilding era. A backcourt of Cade Cunningham and Devin Booker would legitimately form the best backcourt in the entire NBA, and would alleviate the workload that Cade has on his back currently after having the third highest usage rate in the NBA last season. Booker is more of a natural two-guard who proved he can be effective off the ball at the Olympics, but he has been thrust into a lot of point guard duties in Phoenix, molding his game to whoever he's playing alongside, and Detroit is in desperate need of another playmaker, making this deal a no-brainer from my point of view. The next trade from the article is between the Milwaukee Bucks and the San Antonio Spurs, where the Spurs receive Giannis Antetokounmpo in exchange for Devin Vassell, Dylan Harper, Stephon Castle, and 4 first-round picks. Look, I know this may seem like a lot to give up in a trade, but to swing a deal that gets you a player that in their prime has best player in the world upside, you have to take that risk. Dylan Harper has all-star upside after being selected number 2 overall in this year's draft. Stephon Castle is the reigning Rookie of the Year winner and is already a lockdown defender. Devin Vassell has been a steady 3-and-D wing progressing as a creator, so of course I know it's tough to see that much talent leave out the door, but once you get a taste of what the trio of Giannis Antetokounmpo, Victor Wembanyama, and De'Aaron Fox can do together, Spurs fans will never look back. When you have a talent like Victor Wembanyama, who truly has otherworldly upside as a 7'3" phenom who moves like a wing with the ball in his hands and is already the NBA's best shot blocker, you cannot dilly-dally trying to put together a contender around him. We saw what happens when franchises dilly-dally when the Cavaliers lost LeBron James the first time after LeBron's first 7 seasons, and since then, that has been the example of what not to do. The unfortunate truth is that these young Spurs backcourt players may not all be a good fit next to each other, with Fox, Castle, and Harper all being subpar three-point shooters, and the spacing that comes as a result of it hurts the effectiveness of those around them. With a logjam in the backcourt like they have, somebody's development is going to suffer too, because they can't all play together at the same time. Eliminating all of that complicated puzzle, and instead reeling in NBA champion, league MVP, and Defensive Player of the Year winner Giannis Antetokounmpo immediately launches them to the top of the Western Conference amongst the title contenders. Giannis and Wembanyama would genuinely be nearly impossible to score on, with Wemby's length already blocking more shots than anybody, and Giannis being known as the league's best rotator and help defender. Then the wings can be filled by Harrison Barnes and Julian Champagnie, who are both terrific shooters who will keep things spaced, and leading the way will be De'Aaron Fox, whose speed in the open floor will unlock new elements of Giannis and Wemby's games. Then, of course, for the Milwaukee Bucks, they finally embrace the rebuild that they desperately need and get to start that journey with 2 absolute studs of talents with Dylan Harper and Stephon Castle, and they also replenish their currently empty draft pick vault by acquiring 4 first-round picks on top of it. So while it is a massive trade with a lot going on, I truly view this one as a win-win for both sides. And finally, the last proposal from the article is between the Portland Trail Blazers and the Miami Heat, where the Blazers receive Tyler Hero, Jaime Jaquez, and Terry Rozier in exchange for Jeremy Grant, Shaedon Sharpe, Robert Williams, and a first-round pick. This last one would hilariously be seen as a sick joke by Miami Heat fans because their team was trying to form a backcourt of Tyler Hero and Damian Lillard all summer back in 2023, so to then see exactly that come to fruition in Portland would be pretty funny, I can't lie. In all seriousness though, I'm struggling to wrap my head around this deal for Miami. For Portland, they're a young group with some incredibly promising two-way talents set to establish themselves as a pretty strong defense, as newcomer Drew Holiday is still a force defending the perimeter. Toumani Camara is one of the most versatile defensive forwards, fresh off of being named to the All-Defense team last season, and Donovan Clingan is stepping into the starting center role as a top-tier rim protector already. They need more scoring, and while Denny Avdia has flashed all-star potential at times, it would definitely be nice to have an established all-star level scorer in Tyler Hero there to give them more of that boost. For Miami though, they're essentially losing their go-to guy to replace him with Shaedon Sharpe, who is 3 years younger than Hero, but is also way further behind in his development than Hero was at his age, as Tyler Hero won the 6th Man of the Year award, scoring 21 points per game at age 22. The rest of the deal is basically a swap of some contract dumps and role players, and I just don't see what the Heat get out of it, because this deal doesn't change their future, nor does it help them get closer to contention. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below what you think about these trades. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.